Violent and tragic acts against women are a sadly prevalent part of human history. And while in many ways society has happily moved on from darker times, there is still a terrible underbelly of senseless violence that needs to be tackled. Welcome to the Chrissy B Show, the UK's only TV programme that's dedicated to mental health and well-being. And on today's show, we'll be looking at the distressing topic of female genital mutilation, how and why it goes on and what's been done to combat it. We welcome on Florence Aqua, the NHS's foremost expert on the matter. She'll be enlightening us on this topic and showing us how prevalent it is in modern British society, as well as what can be done to fight it. Alongside this, Dr. Rob Hicks will be joining us to talk about female genital mutilation and just how damaging it can be from a medical standpoint, but also some possible solutions. He'll also be answering some viewer medical questions, so stay tuned for that. We'll also be checking out the students and staff of High Wyche Primary School as they become part of the MHD Challenge. But first up, since you are currently slap bang in the middle of Fairtrade Fortnight, let's see this short video and interview from the Fairtrade Foundation on what's been going on in the world of morally made foods.
My name is Julianne Iquara and I'm the Head of Brand and Marketing at the Fairtrade Foundation. Fairtrade is important because behind the food and the clothes that we wear and consume every day, like tea, coffee, bananas, there are people. There are people who work incredibly hard to produce these for us. And oftentimes they don't earn enough to feed their families or to send their children to school. And Fairtrade has been working for the last 25 years in the UK to change that and to make sure people are paid fairly and they have a better life.
So Fairtrade Fortnight is thinking and reflecting a bit on how we buy products. If you look at products like coffee, tea, bananas, they don't grow here, they come from the developing world. What we try to do with Fairtrade is reassure people through the guarantee, through the label on the products, that they have been ethically sourced.
Fairtrade works by making sure that for every banana or coffee or tea that producers sell, they get a minimum price. A minimum price means a safety net, really. It means that producers are insured if the market prices crash, they get at least the same price, if not higher. Some of the biggest challenges that we've had over time is that still not enough people think about what is behind the food they consume. Our research shows that while people are interested in ethical shopping, still not enough of them think about the exploitation in supply chains. 7% growth is showing that the British public is behind Fairtrade, but that's still not enough. We still need to continue to shout about Fairtrade, to continue to tell people to come on into Fairtrade, to buy more Fairtrade products, more Fairtrade bananas, coffee and so on.
I think Fairtrade's very important because it's up to the consumer to be putting responsibility on the supermarkets to supply products that are ethically sourced and benefit the farmers.
Some of the most recent successes at Fairtrade have been really the British public and how strongly the British public is behind us. We're seeing really high levels of trust, with 83% of people trusting Fairtrade. and we're seeing a lot of growth in the market, more fair trade products being sold.
Fairtrade is helping us, has changed the lives of the farmers. They are able to pay school fees for their children. Now children can go up to the university and they get better jobs for the betterment of their family. We have put up community projects like schools. When you go Fairtrade, you don't go wrong.
Thank you so much to the Fairtrade Foundation there. So now it's time to head over to High Wyche Primary School in the heart of Hertfordshire, an amazing school that took part in the Mental Health Dance Challenge, and I'm amazingly proud of how far the MHD Challenge has actually come. So let's go over to the staff and pupils at High Wyche. Hi everyone, today we are at High Wyche Church of England Primary School and we are here to do the MHD Challenge with these amazing students. Guys, are you ready? Yeah! Do you know what MHD stands for? Yes, that's it, Mental Health Dance Challenge. So everyone, this is Mandy West, who's the head teacher at this lovely school. So Mandy, when you first heard about the initiative, what did you think?
I thought it was a brilliant idea. It's so important, mental health these days, especially it's coming down into primary school age, so it's really important to get them aware of big issues now, and to talk about things.
Everyone has problems, right? We all go through some things in life. There are hard times in life. And when the kids first heard about it, what was their reaction?
Oh, they were so excited. You see by the dancing, they were really into it, so everybody wanted to join in.
Yeah. So if you see in the dance, look, when problems come, we can't just let the problems come and that's it, and then we just get really down. We have to do something about them. So in the dance, you're going to see some fighting moves. Punch, punch, down, punch, 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 down, down. And yeah, I'm a winner. That bit means Superman, you're a winner. Or Supergirl, right? Please, we're not punching people, okay? Make it very clear. It's like you're punching the problems. You're saying, I'm not going to let this problem get me down. Stamp and crush, stamp and crush. So that one, same thing again, okay? It's like you're crushing the sadness, you're crushing the things that maybe you're going through. Now this one, we're gonna be doing this, okay? What does this mean? No depression. It's not just a dance. The dance has a meaning. And what about the red flag? Let's see a red flag. Do you have one? War. War against what? Yeah, mental health problems. Yeah, exactly. Well done. So you all know. That's brilliant. Stomp, stomp, stomp. Step back. And point, and you guys know this already. What's going on? As you can see, they have been practicing. They are so good. I've been through the dance a couple of times with them already, and we're about to film the actual real version now. Made my life hell for years. But now depression, it's payback time. This way first. Let's go. Woo. And turn. Turn the other way. Hand on head. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Get up. Step to the side. Shake it up. Middle to the side. Ready to punch? Punch, punch, down. Punch, 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 down, down. I'm a winner. Let's go again. And turn. Good. And turn. 2, 1, 2, 3. Get up. Step to the side. Shake it up. Middle to the side. Ready to step? Let's go! absolutely brilliant job. I was so impressed. What did you think of them today?
So proud of them, always very proud of them. Well done, you lot.
Brilliant. What did you guys think about the dance?
It was really fun and I really enjoyed it. I was really excited for it and I thought it was going to be really good and I really enjoyed it. At first I done it for a little joke and I thought, oh, this is, I didn't think it was going to be very good, but then first when I tried it, it was absolutely brilliant and I'm going to recommend this to all my friends and make them do it.
Obviously, at the beginning I had to talk to everybody about why it's important to talk about when you're feeling sad. Does anyone want to say why they think it's important to speak to someone if you're feeling sad or to fight against depression? Anyone? Yeah?
Because if you don't tell anyone that depression can just build up on you and make you feel even worse, and then eventually you'll just feel like you don't want to be alive anymore. If you don't tell anybody, then it will just get more worse and you'll start getting quite... Because if you're afraid of something, then you have to tell someone about it.
We shouldn't just keep things inside if we're feeling sad. We've got our, sometimes we've got our parents to talk to, we've got teachers to speak to, and everyone's there to help us, right?
Yeah.
And we just keep on fighting depression, yeah? Yeah. Well, everyone, I'm very happy to present the official MHD Challenge certificate to High Wyke Primary School, and well done for this amazing achievement with your children here. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much to everyone at High Wyke Primary School. Now don't go away, guys, because after the break we'll be joined by Florence Aqua, a foremost expert on female genital mutilation, and she'll be telling us about the terrible effects it can have, plus much more. But first, is this true or false? 50 girls were thought to be in treatment for female genital mutilation in 2015 to 2016. Find out the answer after this break. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone. So we hope you've enjoyed our look at the MHD Challenge at High Wyke Primary School in the heart of Hertfordshire. And we're really proud of what they accomplished. We also took a look at a great video from Fairtrade Foundation as a celebration of Fairtrade Fortnight, which aims to inform you guys out there what's going on in the world of morally made foods. And now we're about to go over to our next guest to talk about the frankly harrowing topic of female genital mutilation. But as a supplement to that, before the break, I asked you whether this is true or false. 50 girls were thought to be in treatment for female genital mutilation in 2015 to 16. The answer is unfortunately false. The number is actually closer to 100. So here to tell us more is Florence Aqua.
My role is I'm a nurse midwife, and I've worked in the National Health Service for 31 years, and I've also worked around female genital mutilation for the last 20 years. The definition of FGM by the World Health Organization is all procedures that intentionally alter or cause injury to the female genital organs for non-medical reasons. There are 4 types of FGM. Type 1, which is removal of the clitoral hood. There is type 2, which may be removal of the inner lips of the labia and may or may not include the clitoral hood. Type 3, which is the most extreme, which is removal of the inner and outer lips, which are then sewn together right down to the perineum just to leave a little hole, and that also may include or may not include the clitoral hood. And type 4, which is everything else that are harmful, such as pricking, piercing, cauterization, and anything else. So the side effects of FGM in the short term, there could be bleeding, retention of urine, infection, and unfortunately sometimes there could be death due to excessive bleeding or sepsis. Long-term side effects are infertility, again bleeding, low hemoglobin as a result of the bleeding, infection again, and then you can have mental health problems around depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and other types of mental health disorders. Why is FGM practiced? FGM is practiced, as the communities would say, as a cultural reason. It could be a rite of passage for a young girl, making sure that they're chaste, a virgin, virtuous, keeping the family honor, the name. So those are the reasons why FGM could be practiced. So the law in the United Kingdom is that FGM is illegal. There has been a law since 1985, so for 31 years. It has recently been updated, so whereby before there were loopholes in the law, now those loopholes have been plugged. So before you could take a young girl out of the country to get her cut and bring her back into the country. Now that is illegal as well. Okay, so in my role as a nurse or a midwife, I am a safeguarding lead for a trust in London, and I'm also an FGM lead as well, which I co-lead with one of my colleagues. So our role is to make sure that the FGM agenda is promoted throughout the trust. Regulated staff, such as health staff, education and police, we have statutory duties around safeguarding to make sure that girls are protected. So when they come to the trust in terms of hospitals, we we record anybody who interfaces with us and are known to have had FGM. That is from any age. Under the age of 18, anybody who is known to have had FGM is reported to the police. So if anyone is concerned about a family member or a friend, what they can do is they can ring the local authority in terms of the social care, whether it's adult social care or if they're for children, children's social care. If it's an emergency, then the advice is to call 999 so that the police also intervene. FGM is a global problem. It's not just an African problem, it's a global problem. Here in the UK, due to migration, we have communities that have come over who have practiced FGM in their home countries, but are living with the consequences of FGM in the United Kingdom. So again, it's important that we have services that help support these women and also protect the girls. So that's where our safeguarding agenda comes into play. So with FGM, obviously the public sector, we're doing our bit, but there are third sector organizations who also do their bit around FGM. So they can support a family, a girl, they can help in terms of supporting them through maybe a court process and also a hospital process. I work with an organization called Forward UK. So they're one of the leading organizations that have helped put the legislation in place, also in terms of helping young girls, women around FGM as well. And again, it's important that when we are talking about FGM, that the community are also engaged and involved, because at the end of the day, you need the grassroots community to help you for the message to be sort of imparted, for them to understand that this is not a good thing for young children. So I became involved with FGM when I was a student midwife in the early 90s, and I was sort of sent to help with a delivery, and that's when I then came across a type 3, which I have explained before is the most extreme. So it really sort of bothered me, and it made me quite curious to find out what it was and why this woman had that done, and more importantly, how was I going to support her through labor and delivery. So after, I was supported by a qualified midwife, to conduct the delivery and support the woman through that process, I then became very interested and I started researching, and then I came across Forward, and that's how my journey around FGM began. So with Forward, I do, training for them, I support them in other things that they do as well. So it's been a 20-year association, and I'm still sitting here advocating and sort of campaigning for the eradication of female genital mutilation.
Thank you so much to Florence there. Now, to talk to us about the purely medical issues surrounding FGM is our resident doctor, Rob Hicks.
Hello and welcome to Doctor's Orders here at the Chrissy B Show. I'm Dr. Rob Hicks. Today we're going to be talking about female genital mutilation, or FGM. Now, FGM is where the female genitals are deliberately injured, cut or changed. But there's no medical reason for doing this. There's no medical benefit. In fact, there are no health benefits of doing this sort of procedure at all. But what there are lots of health problems that can arise because of female genital mutilation. Problems for girls, young women and older women. It affects their physical health, it affects their mental health. And in life, when women try to become sexually active, it can detrimentally affect their sexual health as well. If you think about the physical problems that can arise as a result of FGM, chronic and long-standing and long-term pain is a very, very common problem. Problems with passing urine, either because it becomes difficult to pass urine or because of urinary incontinence, are also a possible complication. Bleeding, the development of cysts, the development of abscesses are also possible, as are recurrent infections, which if not treated correctly, can affect a woman's infertility. And then there are the mental health and emotional problems that can arise as a consequence of a woman having been put through female genital mutilation. A greater risk of depression, anxiety, stress, unpleasant flashbacks, problems with sleep, for example, nightmares, insomnia, all these potential problems that can arise affecting mental well-being. And then there are the sexual health problems. It may be incredibly difficult for a woman to have sex because it's very, very uncomfortable and painful. Her libido, her desire for sex, may be significantly reduced. It may be a consequence that if she has sex, she doesn't achieve the physical pleasure of sex because of the results of the scarring of the procedure. If she should want to have a baby, it may be difficult for her to fall pregnant. Should she fall pregnant, female genital mutilation often causes problems with the delivery of a child, with childbirth. So as you can see, there are physical health problems, mental health problems, and sexual health problems that arise as a consequence of FGM. And just to reiterate, female genital mutilation has no medical reason and has no health benefits. It only has risks to a girl, a young woman and an older woman's health. Now, the important thing to remember and be aware of is that there are some possible solutions to help women get past the trauma of FGM and to move on with their lives. The most important thing, of course, is if you have experience of this, is not to be frightened to ask for medical help. Counselling and therapy is very, very important to help manage and overcome the mental health problems that have arisen. And for some women, it's possible to have surgery to widen the entrance to the vagina. Women, for example, who find sex impossible or indeed very, very painful. And indeed for those women who've been left with difficulties passing urine because of the scarring and the trauma associated with the surgery. So remember those positive facts that there's help available and that it's important to seek help.
Thank you so much to Rob there. Well, don't go away, because after the break, Rob will be back to answer some of your medical questions, such as this one. If a woman has varicose veins, can it affect her ability to become pregnant? Find out what Rob has to say after this. Hi, I'm Chrissy B, and my show is all about improving your mental health and being happy. Join me every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 10 p.m. on my channel Sky 203. Visit chrissybshow.tv. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, which is of course the UK's only TV programme that's dedicated to mental health and well-being. So now we have on Dr. Rob Hicks to answer all of your medical questions. Hello Rob.
Hi Chris.
How are you?
Very well, thank you, very well.
And obviously if you do have a question for Dr. Rob Hicks, all you have to do is email us on doctor@chrissybshow.tv. So Rob, thank you so much for giving us some information there about FGM before the break, a very important topic.
Very important indeed, and one that I'm proud to be part of raising the awareness of that condition, because I think more people need to know about it so that action can be taken.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so now we have some questions from our viewers. So the first one is, if a woman has varicose veins, can it affect her ability to become pregnant?
The simple answer to that is no, not as far as I'm aware, but what is interesting is that if you're a man who's got varicose veins in the scrotum, which are called varicoceles.
I didn't know you could get varicose veins.
There we
in the
are,
scrotum.
and that can reduce a man's fertility.
Oh,
but having varicose veins as a woman isn't going to affect fertility. But when she does fall pregnant,
yes,
she's more likely to get varicose veins, or indeed for existing varicose veins to get worse.
Okay, all right. To know. Next question, Rob. My left side has been hurting all week. It usually gets worse after I stand up after sitting down for a while. Sometimes I can't even walk correctly. What's your take on that?
Well, you need to have a checkup about this. You need to have a chat with your doctor, be asked some questions and indeed examined. To me, it sounds like this is a muscular problem. Particularly if it's related to movement, or indeed it might be that you've been sitting in an awkward position for a while. The other thing that this could be is actually a referred pain from somewhere else. So for example, you may be feeling it in the back or in the side, but it's actually coming from a hip or lower down in the leg. But the way to find out what treatment you need is to get the diagnosis first, and that needs a checkup with your doctor.
Okay. Next question. Dear Rob, from time to time I get nosebleeds for no apparent reason. It's not a lot of blood and they don't last long. I used to get them quite a bit as a child if, for example, I knocked my head or got too hot. Just wondering why I've started getting them again.
That's an interesting dilemma, really. There are lots of different reasons for why we get nosebleeds. So let's think about the common ones that people often forget. And that's picking the nose, so that'll cause a nosebleed. Blowing your nose too hard can cause a nosebleed. And if the environment is too dry, so if it's very, very dry within a room, that dries out the lining of the nose, and that makes bleeding more likely as well. So those are things that you can actually act on without seeking medical advice. The other possible causes obviously are injury, and you've highlighted that as a child, if you banged your head or your nose, you'd get a nosebleed. So maybe you're involved in a sport and you haven't quite identified that actually the nosebleeds seem to happen at the time or after you've suffered a minor injury. High blood pressure can manifest itself with nosebleeds. Certain problems with the blood's ability to clot can manifest itself with nosebleeds, as can taking certain medication. The obvious one being, blood thinning drugs, anticoagulants like warfarin, for example. So I think if these are becoming increasingly frequent, and certainly if you've gone a long time without them, it's worth having a checkup with your doctor, who may want to certainly check your blood pressure, and may want to run some blood tests to make sure that your blood cells are clotting properly. So, have a think about keeping a diary about when you get the nosebleeds, because it might be that you identify what a trigger is. It might be that you're sitting there watching the television program, picking your nose without realising it. But on a serious note, if you're not getting to the bottom of it, then get your doctor to check you out.
Definitely. Next question, Rob. What could cause stomach cramps? My husband sometimes simply bends over and gets a bad cramp on one side of his stomach. Is this a sign of something serious?
Well, the simple answer to that is it could be, but the odds are in favour of it not being. I think that, again, this sounds like a muscular type pain because of what you're describing. So it might be that your husband's involved in an activity, a sport, or his job involves certain movements, and what he's doing is he's repeatedly pulling muscles. Again, it could be related to referred pain from somewhere else. Sometimes people describe a stomach pain when actually what they're getting is indigestion or heartburn. So when you bend over, the acid is coming back up from the stomach into the back of the throat, and somebody will describe that as stomach pain, but actually it's more like acid reflux. Then the other thing to think about is certainly if he's got other symptoms accompanying this pain, so fever, lightheadedness, nausea, vomiting, then he needs prompt medical advice. But with this sort of pain, if you can't pinpoint exactly what's going on, have a chat with the doctor, get him to have a checkup. But it sounds to me like this is muscular related. It's a sort of positional thing from what you describe.
Okay, thank you, Rob. Next one. Hi Rob, recently my right eye has been getting bloodshot for seemingly no reason. While I do wear contact lenses, I have been doing so for many years and never experienced a problem before. It doesn't usually happen just after putting my lenses in, just randomly in the middle of the day. I'm a 25-year-old man and don't have any other health conditions.
Now, this is a new problem by the sounds of things, and I think that in itself warrants getting checked out. Initially, my advice would be to go and see the optometrist, the person who provides the lenses. If, however, you're getting other symptoms associated with the redness of this eye, so any discharge or any pain or any blurred vision, you need prompt medical advice or go to your local casualties eye department to get this looked at, because it might mean that there's some degree of infection or inflammation going on that needs specific treatment. It could be conjunctivitis, either caused by an infection or by an allergy, or it might be that there's something maybe in your work practice or in the place where you work that's specifically irritating your right eye. I don't know, maybe you're a photographer and you're putting your eye up against a lens covering or something. Can you pinpoint something that might be irritating one eye rather than the other? But I think if this persists, it needs checking out. If you're getting additional symptoms, as I've mentioned, you need prompt medical advice. And my advice to you in the meantime would be to leave the contact lenses out until you've got a diagnosis and you've had any treatment that's necessary.
Okay, thank you, Rob. Next one. What does it mean if I hear my pulse? It rings in my ear loudly.
Ah, yes. Pulsatile tinnitus. Medical term for that, and it can be absolutely normal. However, there's always a however, there are some medical conditions that can cause this, and these need to be checked for. So one is anemia, another is an underactive thyroid, so low thyroid function. Another is side effects of medication. Another is narrowing of the arteries, and sometimes it can be down to fluid within the ear. So if this is a new thing in particular, good idea to get it checked out. In fact, whether it's new or not, the fact that you're noticing it, I think in my mind, if I was your doctor, I'd want to see you to be able to examine you and check for those things that might be the underlying cause. But I would reassure you that often this is just a normal thing that somebody's just happened to notice and has been going on for a long time.
Next question. My eyelid on my left eye is kind of drooping. I just noticed it lately. What can I do to make it go back to normal, and what is making it droop?
Okay, this is a sort of concerning symptom for me.
Yeah.
I think that you need to get this checked out soon, as soon as possible, because what you're describing is a new phenomenon where the eyelid you specify is on one side. And it's not both sides. The medical term for this is ptosis, and it can be just simply a case of aging where the supportive tissues of the eyelid become weaker, and that's why it moves down. But the other serious concerns or reasons for this are a nerve problem, it could be a muscular problem, or it might be a symptom of an underlying medical condition. So I would urge you to get this checked out as soon as possible.
Hey Rob, so last question for today.
Yeah.
My girlfriend has a tumour in her head. I don't know exactly how big or where the tumour is exactly. Should she be playing any sports? She'll be getting an operation in about 6 months and I'm concerned about what could happen.
My advice to you with this question is actually ask your girlfriend what she's been advised, because I would hope that she's been advised on the activities and the things that she can do and the things that she should avoid. If she doesn't know the answers to these questions, then I think you should encourage her to actually speak to a specialist to find out what things she can be doing, what things she would be best avoiding for the time being. It might be that she's been advised and these are things that she wants to keep to herself, so be sensitive how you ask these questions. But I think the specialist will either have advised her or definitely should in the near future.
Yeah. Brilliant. Rob, that's all we've got time for today. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, as
always. And we'll see you again next week.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, don't go away, because after the break, we'll be showing you a real-life story courtesy of the Mental Health Channel, so stay tuned. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone. Now, today we broached the difficult topic of female genital mutilation. We spoke to the NHS's foremost expert on the matter, Florence Aqua, who told us the extreme toll it can take on its victims. Our regular Dr. Rob Hicks also joins us to talk about the extreme medical complications this phenomenon can actually cause. And hopefully we were able to educate some of you out there on what's been going on. We also featured the Fairtrade Foundation to fill you guys in on Fairtrade Fortnight and the great work being done to make morally and environmentally sustainable food. But now it's time to take a look at this video courtesy of the Mental Health Channel.
Please welcome Missy Jenkins Smith.
On December the 1st, 1997, I was only 15 years old. Once I got to school, nothing seemed out of the ordinary whatsoever. And that's when a 14-year-old boy pulled a .22 out of his backpack and started shooting at us. 3 people were killed and 5 people were injured. December the 1st, 97 was before some of the major shootings that happened, such as Columbine and Sandy Hook. Something like this happening at a school, especially Heath High School in Paducah, was something that I could not understand. Paducah was a very safe town. I remember that my parents moved to the county because they wanted to send their kids to a safe county school.
I remember exactly where he was. It was, I would say, maybe like right here.
I was going this direction, and I know that's how I was shot. The bullet actually went through my left shoulder. It hit my lung, it hit my spinal cord, and came out the right side of my back. I had to spend about 5 months in the hospital altogether. On Christmas Eve, December 24th, me and my twin sister turned 16, and we had our birthday in the hospital. One of the things that I learned first was how to put my clothes on, which took 45 minutes the first time. It was not easy at all. In 2007, I went and visited the shooter, Michael, in prison. I wanted him to know how it affected me and my family, and I wanted to get some type of information from him just by his insight and what he went through to make him make this decision. One of the things he had said that, bullying was something that he had to deal with, and it just got to the point where he thought that if he brought a gun to school that people would fear him and respect him. I felt like shootings were becoming common, and I don't want people to become desensitized to what's going on and to think, oh, well, it's just another shooting. The person that did this was only 14 years old. His name was Michael, and he was somebody I considered a friend. He was somebody that I would describe as like a class clown, and I really enjoyed him. Those that didn't made fun of him very badly. Little did we know how much it hurt Michael. So if you're a bully, please make the choice to stop torturing others. And those of you that are being bullied, tell somebody. And if you're a bystander and you see something like this happen, be a witness, tell someone. I'd forgiven Michael for what he had done to me. And the reason why I forgave Michael is because I knew that being angry and mad was not gonna make things better. It wasn't gonna make me walk again. It wasn't gonna bring the girls back. It wasn't gonna change what happened. And I didn't want my second chance out of life to be angry. I wanted to be happy. Forgiving him was my way to move on. And I was able to let myself off instead of letting Michael off. You know, I still believe that he has to deal with the consequences of his actions. I just kept wanting to set goals for myself because I knew that my future was important. Me and Mandy were the first ones in our family to even go to college. I've had opportunities that I've never thought that I'd ever have. I've traveled so much. I've met so many different people. I have a wonderful husband. I have 2 beautiful boys that are absolute blessings to me. Whenever I got married, I was so concerned about the fact of if I could have children. But then, after having my children, I then was scared on how in the world am I going to be able to take care of them. You know, I still run into challenges, but I have to remind myself that it might be hard at the beginning, but it'll get easier, just like it was whenever I had to learn how to use the wheelchair.
All right, there you go.
You have a good weekend.
I feel like inspired now, like not to be just like a bystander if I do see bullying.
Now I feel like I should like get into it and like help other people. You're making a big difference.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
That day I had no control whatsoever what was happening, but I don't want the shooting to continue to have control over me for the rest of my life. I want control of myself.
And now let's take a look at this video courtesy of Head Talks.
You realise the things at the start that made you who you are now, or that got you through certain things. And from a young child, I wasn't mental, I was crazy. You know, certain things obviously had impact, such as my dad leaving home from a young age, which I think is actually quite a common thing these days. But I was born onto a council estate in Essex. When I started to notice different characteristics about myself, it was more secondary school and that kind of age. I always realised, for some reason, that I craved attention. I craved people's acceptance. You know, I went to a Catholic school, and a lot of my friends, you know, families, they own businesses, they own restaurants, which is very good for them. But at the same time, it made me realise that I don't have anything, and that's how I felt. Like I didn't feel like I was in place with these people, and so even through smoking, people would turn up to school with cigarettes, and I never had any, and that led me to times when I stole from my family to get cigarettes, and this is at 14 years old. No, you know, taking a bit of change on your way back from the shop or something, or trying to hold change for your mum, okay, that's normal, but actually going into your mum's purse and taking money out just so you could buy a packet of cigarettes at 14 to go to school and fit in, it's crazy. I took a lot of drugs, but socially, in a party atmosphere, or even if not in a party atmosphere, I chose to take them. Drugs never had a hold of me, especially not at this age. And I think the funny thing is that I see and I talk to and conversate with a lot of people that have had addictions of all sorts. you know? And I think to myself, from a very young age, 14, 15, I was drinking a lot with my mates, socially. Not uncommon. Taking a lot of drugs with my mates, socially. Again, in this day and age, not uncommon. But it was never, especially at these ages, it was never a problem. And I'll tell you why, because I wanted to take them. There was always a fairground that set up outside my mum's house on the green. And we were over the fair at this point with my friend who I was staying around. And I just see a staff wanted signing on one of the rides. And just again, my brain doing the spur of the moment thing, I thought, I'll just talk to this guy, why not? I talked to the guy. And a week later, he drove back to Essex and picked me up. And I went for about 8 months and I travelled with a fun fair. Hard work, not being allowed to get off your nut all the time, bit of discipline maybe, time to man up. I only lasted for the 8 months because I couldn't myself feel like I could take it anymore, because I don't think I was built for it. I wasn't man enough for it, because it's hard work and respect to the people that do it, you know. What happened when I got back home and decided I'd had enough, I went straight back again. No work, but just to being exactly the same person that I was. So obviously being around these people on the fun fair, I felt I had to be a certain way and I managed it. But I obviously didn't feel like I had to be that. So it just shows the people that you're around have a certain influence on you. So I was back in Colchester, in Essex, and said, Mum, can I come stay with you again? She said, yeah, I suppose. Like, I don't know why she said that. She should have said bugger off, but she said, yeah. Couple months, if that. Pissed her off enough. Off I go. And it's all right, because the first month or whatever, I was a nice guy to her and we got along and everything was cool. But as the novelty wears off and it goes back to normal, I realised that I get too comfortable. And that's only now. Then I was thinking, why can't I eat what I want out of the fridge and this, that and the other? That's what led me to be on the streets, because the feeling that you get after a little while of having to rely on someone or being in the way is the main thing. I had a mad feeling of, even though they'd say, it's absolutely fine for you to be here and we love you being here, and don't worry about this, don't worry about that, I very much felt after a little while that I was in the way. You know, I was living in houses with my friends' families, you know, and they had no, I've said it before, they had no responsibility over me. It was not their job to look after me. If I'm going to be doing a bit of busking or trying to be this musician that I want to be, and I'm going to be homeless and have nothing here, I might as well do it in the big city. I might as well just move to London and do what I'm doing here, there, because I've got nothing and no one to take with me. Got to Liverpool Street Station, and I stepped out the station, and I had nothing. I had absolutely nothing. I had nowhere to sleep that night. But for that second, I forgot all of that. And I was like, pfft. And it felt like home. And I'll tell you now, that's the best decision I ever made. It truly, truly is the best decision I ever made. And my mind telling me things like that, like, you've got nothing, so go and have nothing there. Sunk into street homelessness, like, just became a street homeless man in London. You know, it's such a massive homeless community in London. They call it community. It really is. It's crazy. You know, your routines and the people that you find yourselves around, you know. Don't get me wrong, some of the most loyal and trustworthy people, really, that you ever meet. A lot of people that I know of, not that I know, but that I know of, used mental illness or created a mental illness themselves so it would benefit them. And to be honest with you, the streets is so bad, especially in the winter, the streets is so bad it'll drive you to anything. It really will. It's so disgustingly, it's dreadful. It is so horrible being out there on the cold concrete, feeling alone but actually being physically ill from your surroundings and from the way you're living. It will drive you to anything. And I can easily see why people don't last. I just got off the streets. I got myself off the streets. I spent a long time on the streets and it was horrible. But you know, and I don't even think my family knew as well, you know, how street homeless was, because I was a little lying kid still to them. Although I was doing bits of music and stuff, I was, when I first got put into housing, it was bad for me because it was the first time I'd experienced having my own place like that properly. And I was around the same sort of people, I started taking some drugs and partying again and not using it to its full potential. People all around me would hear me playing my guitar. I was entering little competitions like the ones I did previously in pubs, little talent competitions in pubs and stuff, and coming first and second in all of them. My friends around me were all saying I'm brilliant, my songwriting skills, my singing skills. Because I wasted my first opportunity, I then saw what I needed to do. So although I still conversated and got along with everyone there, I started building my studio, and one of my friends really helped me to do that as well financially, because I wouldn't have had all the money to do it myself. He saw the belief in me and he helped me out, and I built a home studio and I just started doing my thing. I was referred to the Roundhouse and they kind of gave me the opportunity before I had my own studio to start doing bits and bobs of recording. So I learned how to use the equipment and then bought some for myself. And once I bought it for myself, they said, okay, well listen, how about we apply for you to go on this course called Amy's Yard with the Amy Winehouse Foundation. And I didn't know anything about it, but I just saw Amy Winehouse, so I thought, it's got to be good. It was incredible, and it was a lovely thing for life to throw at me. I've met some absolutely outstanding people that have taught me a lot about how to behave. Not that they've taught me, but I've learned a lot from people about how I can be the person that I want to be, around the right people.
And if you'd like to know more about the Mental Health Channel or about Head Talks, you can head over to our website, chrissybshow.tv, and click on our contributors section. Well, everyone, we've reached the end of today's program, but if you have any comments about today's show or any of our other programs, please do get in contact with us. You can email us on info@chrissybshow.tv. You can also tweet us at Chrissy B Show or leave a message on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Until next time, bye-bye for now.